Hey guys! Welcome to the channel. It's another day of the method series where I showcase how I do something but also provide alternatives for you guys to try. Today it's the bullet journaling classic, the habit tracker. I didn't know how much I liked checking off boxes until I started making one this year. I know it doesn't sound like something you'd need, but stay tuned and you might learn something you need them for. November is my birthday month, so I'm thinking of releasing 2 bonus videos not in the normal pattern I post. Before the month ends, and also considering there's 5 Mondays in November, one is gonna be on a Monday and the other is gonna be on a random day. Make sure to keep an eye out for those. So, let's get into it! Like the last video in the series about planner layouts, this video is also accompanied by my own set of free printables. I'm not saying I'm the one who made these layouts, they were bullet journal layouts I found on Pinterest and recreated them in a printable form for those who wouldn't have the time to manually make the one themselves. I'll be showcasing all the designs that I've made over a few weeks and how they can be used. I've given them levels so you know how much materials you would need. Level 1 means you only need 1 pen. It can be any color you want, but that's the minimum you need to make use of it. For these examples, I use my Muji black gel pen so you can tell the difference between levels. Level 2 means you need colored pens. Gel pens, colored pencils, stuff like that. You really need them for their color. It would help you differentiate things or just for design. I use my other colored Muji gel pens here. Level 3 is for highlighter use. Some of them only need 1, while some of them need different colors. And for these, I use my matte liners. Some designs can be in all levels, some in only 2. Some of them are custom made for only 1 level. All designs of the same level can be found in the same folder in the Printables drive, listed in the description below. Okay, backtracking a little bit. What is a habit tracker? It's usually a phrase more known in the bullet journal/planning community. It's basically just a chart that helps you keep track of how often you do things. There's not exactly a rule for what you can track in a habit tracker, so for example, skincare, language learning practice, drinking enough water for the day, your mood, your sleep, or even your exercise. There are 12-ish designs of trackers I made. I made sure to extend them all to 31 days to fit any month you need them for. I'll try to sort them into categories so you guys can figure out which ones you'd like to get and inform you on what they might be used for. Mood trackers are just things that can help you see how you've been feeling over time. This may help you know which times of your life you tend to get the most stressed or when your mental health starts to worsen and you might need to get some support. As the name says, it's a one-line mood tracker. It's basically a line graph. You just choose how you're feeling for that day and put a dot. Then you can connect your dots and see how your mood changes over the month. It only needs 1 pen and you can use any color you want. A year in pixels is the first one I've made when I started making my habit trackers. This printable is based on my actual year in pixels. Kinda wishing I made it smaller, but this is long-term and a more specific overview for your emotions. The one-line design had a basic line scale, but then in this, you have the option to customize what specific emotions you want to track. You just fill in 1 box per day and at the end of the month you can log how many of each design or color you have in the month. I didn't cross out February 29, you can just cross that out if it's not a leap year. I'm trying to label these as accurately as possible, so the title of time trackers should be pretty self-explanatory. It's really helpful to know what happens with your time, especially now that time seems so skewed. A minute time tracker is where the 12-ish designs come in. For the minute time tracker, there's one with a box for the color codes and one that doesn't. It's only for level 3, so you would need at least 1 highlighter to do it. But if you want something more complicated, you might need more. This isn't just for exercise tracking. You can also use it for small things that take at most an hour. Maybe track your shower time to estimate how much water you're using up, or how you spend your study break times to learn how to motivate yourself more. A full day time tracker is for a more holistic view of your day. So you can see what things you spend your time on. You don't really need to make it all the categories I've made in mind. You can use it to track how long you study versus how long your breaks are, so you can see when you have a tendency to procrastinate or take too long off breaks. You can enter whatever color codes you want on the bottom designated area and use it from there. I decided to start it at 6 AM going through until 5 AM the next day instead of the normal midnight to midnight time schedule. I just wanted this to track the start of your day, seeing that it's online classes. I don't suppose most students wake up at 6 AM anyway. The end of each line connects at the time of the next day in theory, though I think actually connecting them won't do you any good. I think task trackers are the most common types of habit tracker because these are what give habit trackers their name. You can use these to take note of what you want to remember or what you want to do. Maybe you're like me and just like the satisfaction of checking boxes. The rest of these are mostly design variations of how you want your trackers to look. A horizontal bar tracker, I would say, is the most straightforward of the task trackers. Each habit has its own designated label space and shading areas, so you just have to write your labels and fill them in. You can use a lot of different symbols to mark that you've done it, depending on what you like to do. For example, checking it, crossing it out, putting a dot, or even shading it with a highlighter. You can even use different colors for different tasks to give it some design if you don't have the time to draw. The Boxes habit tracker gives you the month look that can mirror the actual look of a monthly calendar. There are 5 rows of boxes and you can shade it in or cross out the days that aren't in the month. If you're more visual and keep more track of what day it is than the actual date, then this might be good for you. You can just sync it to whatever monthly calendar you have. I would consider the icon tracker for the more creative people out there. For the other trackers, drawing is optional, but not for this one. For a more minimalist look, the tasks or habits you want to track have to be condensed into a drawing, picture, or icon to place on the top of the column of boxes. If you prefer drawing, then great, but for those of us who aren't that good with hand drawing things, you can also stick some stickers on top of the columns to serve as labels. Just make sure you know which drawing is for which habit. The Grid habit tracker is the most compressed format, and for those who want to track a lot of things. There are a total of 4 trackers with 6 rows per page. You can divide them up and have it so you can use all 12 in the month, or save them up and you can use one printed page for 4 months. I place the boxes on top so that there can be a clear label for what month it is, but feel free to customize the printables however you want. For combined trackers, I mean you would have guessed from the title, but these trackers are those that can't fit cleanly into the previous categories because they cover more than one. The sleep and mood design, there are technically 2. One is only for highlighters, which is a level 3, and another one is for levels 1 and 2. The main difference is the spaces of the dots. You use one side to track your sleep schedule and the other side is a very rudimentary mood tracker. Just like for the rest I'm showing in this video, you can mix and match colors of highlighters whenever you have them. For the Sleep and Mood Voids edition, that's the level 3, you can just use your highlighter to mark out how long you've been sleeping and how you're feeling. For the second version of the Sleep and Mood, which is the Sleep and Mood line, it supports level 1 and level 2. The dots are lined up more on the paper so you can use them as starting points for the time you're tracking. You can use this with only one pen, but feel free to alternate colors like in level 2. You just make dots and then connect them together. The line graph tracker is basically for tracking most things that can be tracked on a scale of 1 to 10. Things like mood, how many hours of sleep you're getting, how healthy was your eating that day, how long you spent studying, how many glasses of water did you drink, and things like that. I only assigned it to level 2 because it's hard to differentiate the graphs, even if you try to make them different patterns of lines. I also thought that overlapping isn't really that good for highlighters because they tend to stain the nibs of each other and we don't want that. Okay, time for what I do. I'll try to compress this as much as I possibly can. So when you look through the back of my planner, in the part where there's usually ruled paper, which they call like the notes section, I turned that into my habit tracker area. My first page is 20 goals for 2020. I wanted to have a bit more direction and stuff to work toward, so I made this when I was setting up my actual planner. The next one is my year in pixels, which I made at around the same time I was customizing my planner, so around the same time I was making my cover. If you look closely and you're a musical fan, you can recognize that these are song titles. As some of you know, I'm a huge musical nerd, and if you don't, my musical themed wallpaper playlist is gonna show up sometime in the top right hand corner. Moving on, next are my bi-monthly tracker pages, and I transferred the design onto the grid tracker printables. I started my designs with only 2 pens and a highlighter, then I slowly went up from there. I make my habit trackers with a base of vellum board, which is just basically cardboard, that I have left over and I cut to fit the planner. It's just a sturdier paper that gives me something more solid to write on and helps protect the paper from highlighters, bleeding, and staining other pages. I put double-sided tape on everything, then start working on the grids. All grids I have are just me tracing over some green lined graph paper, which honestly takes a while, but I'd rather have black lines to match the theme than the green. I just write the tasks I want to track and the dates. After that, I spend a lot more time designing. Lately, I've been using stickers of musical quotes to help spice up the designs, along with some washi tape and stickers that I bought over quarantine. After that is just a quick random section where I keep some long-term deadlines for my subjects and a random attempting to doodle sticky note. Near the end, I needed something to fill the back, so I have 3 watching trackers. One for musicals, one for TV shows, and one for movies. I just have a log of when I watched them, and then I also have a log of when I finished them for TV shows. I was curious to see how many shows I could manage to finish within a year. I would watch a lot more musicals, but then there aren't much right now that I haven't seen yet or interested in seeing, so I default to watching anime. During quarantine, I started something that I call a half-bullet journal. I still had my planner, so I couldn't migrate everything there, so I just used it for other things that wouldn't fit in my main planner. So in this pink notebook, I have my exercise tracker and my sleep tracker, which gave inspiration to the time trackers. I just remake them every month in different color schemes. I really hope you liked this video and it inspired you to try out habit tracking. It's been a big part of my life since I started, and I hope it helps you out too. Have you heard about habit trackers before? Which printable do you think suits your needs? Feel free to leave them in the comments. If you liked this video and want to see more videos from me, then hit the subscribe button and the bell to know when the new video's out, especially because of the 2 bonus videos coming up. I guess that's all for this video. Bye guys!